Friends, last class we had discussed about the functions of the bank, and we had discussed about the relationship between bank and the customers, and we had discussed about the service providing by banks to customers. So these are the matters we had discussed in last class. So in this class we are discussing about the banking transaction, how bank they transact the money, and we are discussing nowadays in the bank we can say another important institutions, they also working as a bank, that is post office. How they working and why the government they established it by post office as a bank. So this also we are discussing, and we can say another one point, based on the structure or based on the objectives, we can say there are different types of banks in India. So what are the types of banks? So these are the matters we are discussing in this class. So first of all we want to know about the banking transaction. So before that we already in the two videos we discussed about its only definition of bank. Banks means we already knowing bank is a financial institutions. They always they're doing the activities with a money or with a finance. So this definition we all are knowing. And second one point also we are knowing, that is primary work of bank, that is banks they depositing the money with the customer, and who are they need the money for them they providing as a loan. So these like of loan for only we are called name as a, we are given name as a bank loans. So just you have to think it once again, just you have to know it. Bank loans means banks they depositing the money with customer, and who are need the peoples for them banks they providing as a loan. So this loan for only we are given name as a bank loans. So when the banks they providing to the loan to peoples, for them banks they putting sum of interest. They already they given the interest. So in that interest in sum of the part the banks they providing to customers, or who are they deposited the money for them they providing as a interest for deposited money. So these like of works doing by our bank. This is a banking transaction. So banking transaction means only we can deposit the money or we can take the loan. No, not only this much. Here they saying banking transaction means banks we can deposit the money and we can take the loans. So when we are depositing the money, banks they are providing sum of interest for that particular money. They already fixed that interest, so on that base they are providing the money. And second one, who are they took the loans in that bank, for them also banks they already took some of the decision or the percentage, so that much of percentage they are putting as a interest. So who are the loans or creditors, who are they took the amount, what they paid the money with including interest. So in that interest in only some of the part they are giving as a interest for depositors. Means who are creditor, who are took the loans, in when they paying the money, in that they want to pay with some of the interest also. So what they paid the interest, so in that interest in only some of the money the bank they giving to depositors. And now we want to know only banks doing this much only banking transaction means they providing loans, or we can deposit the money, and who are they deposited for them they giving the interest, or who are they took the loans for them they want to pay with loan and plus interest, this much only by banking transaction. No, bank not only doing these of the works or these of the functions, because of we already knowing banks they doing the work based on they have the principles. So on that based the people they deposited the money, so that money they want to give the loans, that much only. No, sometimes banks they thinking because of we already knowing banks sometimes they're doing work as a service, sometimes they're doing as a work as a profit orientation, means objectives of profit. So sometimes banks they're providing as a loans, sometimes this only money here they saying, yeah, that only they saying by here. So banks sometimes they investing the money, sometimes this only money they investing in the place of national or international level of business also. Because of they want to get some of the profit. They are the workers, they want to provide the salary, or they want to grow the banks. They want to implement different types of service in that particular banks. So that's why banks, they not only doing the primary work, sometimes the deposited, who are they deposited the money, in that money only banks, they investing in national business or international level of business. So they are getting the profit also. So these like of banking transactions we can see in India or the sector of banks. Banks transaction means this only. They only depositing, we can deposit or we can take the loans. No, they doing other works also, other transaction also. Means they investing the money in national level or international level also. So that means we want to know the banks, they are doing this like of works. Is there any monitor in that particular banks? Or anybody they doing, they see, are they giving the guidelines or direction to the banks? Yes. We can see one of the important banks, they took the leadership, they only maintaining all over the Bank of India. So who are the banks or what are the banks we can see in India? Who is regulating the rules and regulations or who are monitoring that one particular banks? We can see the one of the important bank, they only giving guidelines or direction to the banks. So much of you can deposit, how much money you can give as a loans, how much rupees you can invest as a national level business or international level business. So these like of matters who are taking a decision means is one of the important bank, that is Reserve Bank of India. So in that bank for only we are calling as a Central Bank of India or we are calling as a mother bank. So why we are calling mother bank or Central Bank of India means they only giving the guidelines or direction to other banks of India. We can see there are different types of banks. So in that banks were RBI, Reserve Bank of India only, they only providing guidelines or direction and they only monitoring other banks. So in that purpose we are calling as a Reserve Bank of India for mother bank or Central Bank of India. So here they are saying in India we can see RBI, they only regulating the rules and regulations. In that best, how many banks we can see in India? Here they are saying we can see totally 20 nationalized bank, means under the control of central government. So these like of banks we can see totally 20 nationalized bank. And next one here they are saying 21 private banks. We can see 21 private banks. This is not control of government. This is private individual person, they are establishing the bank. One of the best example we can say Karnataka Bank. So Karnataka Bank, this is the best example for private bank. And nationalized bank per we all are knowing. Central Bank of India, Central Bank of Mysore, Canara Bank, Bank of Baroda, present in Vijaya Bank is converted as a Bank of Baroda. So these like we can see nationalized bank. And next one here they say 19 foreign banks also we can see in India. So which one is best example for foreign banks? We can see this one for us. Axis Bank, we can see ICICI, or we can see HDFC. So these like a foreign banks also we can see in the place of India. So these are the banks, 20 nationalized bank, and next one here they are saying 21 private banks and 19 foreign banks. So who are they regulating these much of banks? Means RBI. RBI, they already implement the laws or rules and regulations. On that based, these are the banks, they work. So another point we want to know, that is now present is in banking field or in banking transaction field, we can see another important institution, they also doing same bank what they doing the work. So in that based only service they providing by another institution, that is post office. The Indian Postal Department nowadays they providing banking service or banking facility in that particular post office. So that's why the Postal Department of India, Indian Postal Department, they renamed the post office. What they given the names here, they saying Postal Bank of India. They change the name as a post office. They give a name as a Postal Bank of India. So in that Postal Bank of India, so what are the facility we are discussed in banks, the functions of the banks, and the future of the banks. So same functions or same features we can see in the place of Postal Bank of India. So why they established a post office? Why they converted as a bank? So because of, we all are knowing commonly, India is a villages country. There are so much of people, they are living in the place of rural area, not in urban. So that only are they given 90% of people, they are living in semi-urban, means they are living in town, and second one, they are living in rural area, not in city or metropolitan city. That place in they are not living. 90% of people still now, people they are in middle city or middle developed area. So in that place in, we cannot see the banks, and we cannot get the bank facility also, because there are some of the problems are there. We can see the network problems, or sometimes the land problems, or communication problems. We can see some of the problems, and resource problems also we can get in that particular places. So that's why banks, they're providing the service in major cities, but in village level we cannot see that like of process or that like of service. Banks, they're not providing in that particular area, in backward areas. So our government, they took the decision, they took the programs. So on that based, so what are the post office we can see in village level? Because of, we all are knowing, the most of the post office they have in the area of village level. So that's why central government, they thought that they converted post office as a bank. That only they given name as a Postal Bank of India. So in that purpose for only, our central government, they invested by 1000 crores money to develop a Postal Bank of India. So nowadays we can see our Postal Bank of India spread over all over the India. They providing what was the facilities we are getting in banks, same facilities we can see in the place of Postal Bank of India. What was the facilities providing by the banks or banking transaction, same facilities we can see in the place of Postal Bank. So what were the facilities they providing? That means, so first one here they say that is Postal Office Saving Bank, this one Post Office Saving Bank, and second one issues of national saving, this is also one of the important saving certificate, this is also providing, and Kisan Vikas Patra, after monthly recurring deposit, and postal life insurance, pension payment, money transfer. So these type of functions providing by our postal banks. We can deposit money, and we can take the loans, and we can deposit recurring deposit, means RD, and we can take monthly pension also, and we can transfer money one place to another place, and we can exchange the money also. If you have the dollars, we can exchange as we can convert that one as a currency in postal banks. So these like of service providing by our post office. Not only in the banks, nowadays in that place we can see another institution, that is post office. So these only main points about banking transaction and banks and post office. So after that, now we want to know next another important point, that one here they given types of bank. So based on the objectives, based on the principle, or based on the structure, or based on the programs area, we can see there are different types of bank in India. So when we are discussing this one types of banks, each banks also have their own specialty. So in that object for only they are doing the work. So what are the banks we can see based on types of bank or based on objectives? Here they given totally, we can see first one here they given Central Bank of India, a central bank or Reserve Bank of India. This is first types of bank. So what was the main work of Central Bank of India or Reserve Bank of India? So they saying by the main work regulating laws to banks. Under who are they? We are discussed 20 nationalized, 21 private, and 19 foreign banks. So in that banks were they providing guidelines or direction. This is objectives of Central Bank or Reserve Bank of India. So after that second one here they given, that is commercial banks. So commercial banks means we can see the normal banks. For example, we can see Bank of Baroda or SBM, SBI. So these like of banks we can say as a commercial banks. So what was the main work? They depositing money with the people, and they lending the loans, they providing the loans, and they providing some other facilities also. And after that, after third one point we can see third types of bank, that is Industrial Development Bank. So why they established it? Because of, we can see in India there are so much of people, they are doing work in agriculture field, but we all are commonly we are knowing, without the industrial development India could not develop. So in that purpose, in India we can see industrial development bank. So these banks, they providing loans, or we can deposit money for whom they providing the loans, for only who are they interested to develop or establish the banks, establish the industries. So for them only they providing as a loans. So this like of we can see industrial development banks. And next one they're saying that is land development banks. So this also main purpose why they established it, because of for the agriculture field. So are there in farmers, for them they providing the loans or crop loans or some other instrumental loans. So these like of loans providing by land development banks. So after that, indigenous banks or money lenders or sahukas. Present is, nowadays we can see in advertisement in these like of banks. They asking any jewelers or any property papers or letters. So in that based they providing the loans. Indigenous banks. We can see nowadays, recent days, we can see there is so much of advertisement about these like of banks, indigenous banks. And after that, next one here is the last one, cooperative banks. So this also one of the important bank. Cooperative banks, this also we can see in the place of village level. Who are the shareholders in that particular banks? For them only, this one cooperative banks, they providing loans and they can deposit, and the banks who are the depositor, for them they are giving the interest also. So these like based on objectives, we can see there are some types of banks. First one is Central Bank of India. Second one we have discussed about commercial bank. After that, industrial development bank. After that, land development banks, indigenous bank. Last one we have discussed about cooperative banks. Totally 6 types of banks we can see in India based on their work and based on their objectives. So next class we can discuss about how are based on the account. So different types of bank we can see, bank accounts we can see, that one, and how we can open the bank account. Commonly we are knowing, but is the some of the procedure. So what was the procedure and what was the advantages if you open the bank account? So these are the matters we can discuss in next class. Okay, thank you.